In the wake of the election and the Labour victory therein, we've been asked a few questions about when do you think the first budget will be and when we get some indication of what Labour tax policy might be. Well, the answer to the second part is probably in the budget and not before then. We've had no indication so far to the point of recording this video other than the words from Rachel Reeves around bursting through the planning restrictions and looking to build on infrastructure. So when would we, to the first part of that question, when could we expect the budget? Well, it seems fairly clear that we're not going to be getting an emergency budget because whilst the economic situation needs to be dealt with, it isn't something that needs to be handled in an emergency budget, and certainly not in relation to tax announcements, of course, especially since the government has put themselves somewhat into a straitjacket with the commitments not to increase taxes on working people, which means that no increases to income tax rates, national insurance or VAT, which together amount to around 63% of the total tax yield. Add into that the cap on corporation tax at 25%, and we've got an 11% to add to that, which makes 74% of the tax yield can't really be touched too much. Anyway, so when could the budget be to get any indication of whether there's going to be any other change to, say, for example, capital taxes? Well, given that we think there'll be no emergency budget, you can never tell with these things, of course, but given that we think there'll be no emergency budget, when could the next one be? Well, there has to be at least 10 weeks notice, we've said this before, to the OBR ahead of a budget to enable them to get their financial ducks in a row, which means that if notice was given pretty quickly, the earliest date that we could see a budget will be the 13th of September, which happens to be on a Friday the 13th, which means it probably won't be then, it will be the week after as the earliest date. Most people seem to expect it will be, most commentators will expect it to be more likely to be in October. On the 2nd of September, Parliament resumes after the recess, and the next sort of headline date would be the 13th, but most people expect it won't be that. Then we've got the party conferences, the Labour Party conference between the 22nd and the 25th of September. And also Parliament tends to go into sort of some form of recess before and around the party conferences. So we're looking probably more likely at October as being the more probable month for the budget. By then, the government will need to have decided whether it's going for a full 3-year spending review, 2025 to 2028, as scheduled by Jeremy Hunt, or opting for a sort of quicker 1-year interim review. I mean, it's possible that Rachel Reeves might well, on that principle of, look, let's deal with this, let's get underneath and find out exactly what we're dealing with, she may well decide to combine the spending review and the budget in one statement, given their interdependencies. You can't really fix the budget and any tax changes without knowing what the spending review looks like, which of course is substantially based on forecasting as well. So basically, at the end of the Labour's first 100 days, given there's so much store seems to be paid for, what did you do in your first 100 days? Then that would lead us to the 12th of October. So October seems to be the most likely time. We will be watching this space intently and, of course, giving you an update in relation to anything that we get that's more firm in relation to a budget date. And then, of course, we will be all over it.